Yes, we're live.
Yay. Okay. It's telling me that it's still loading, but I've also noticed that there's like a really long pause most of the time when I go back and watch the lives. So yeah, we are probably live. Okay, so if you guys are, if anyone is watching this, just know this is a test run. As you guys can see, it looks super different. I'm not even in the frame. There we go. So we're at our brand new center. Yay. This is where we're going to be tonight. We're testing it out, making sure it's all working. I hope to see all of you guys here. I got someone watching. That's exciting. But yeah, we're just going to test it out. I'm going to go into Zoom and full screen you, Lindsay, because we don't want to see ourselves. We want to see you. Actually, I don't know how to do that. It'll be okay. Would you try sharing your screen? I want to make sure that pops.
Yeah. I'm disabled. And you froze. I probably froze them.
Freezing up on me. I'm trying to look at it from YouTube. With me, it's not letting me. Right now, so it might have to buffer for a minute.
Okay.
Oh, there's Bree. Hi, Bree. Hey, we're just testing, Bree. We're going to be going actually live at 5 Right now, we're testing out our new equipment, and we're all going to be in person. Or at least some of us are going to be in person today. So we'll actually start it here in a bit, but right now we're just testing it out. Yeah, so Lindsay, if you have started sharing your screen, I can't. Oh wait, I gotta give you photos for this. Hold on.
It says the host. Yeah, the host disabled my screen, so I can't share yet.
That was being so slow. What in the world? Great. Clicking on the window that I needed and it's not pulling it up. Oh, there. Sorry, Linda, this is being so slow. Not yet. Okay. If they could come like right at 5, that would be like done. Good grief. struggling. I think I'm going to go ahead and let the youth come in, and I'm going to end this.
Okay.
Well, let me try something first. I'm gonna go ahead and end our call. I'm gonna
Okay.
call you back.
Yeah, sounds good.
Lindsay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, wow, it says the community is streaming on YouTube right now, and I started, so that's kind of weird. We'll roll with it. That's cool. I'm going to make you a co-host. There we go. All right, and I think they're going to be coming back any minute. I'm already back here, so I'll go ahead and come in. Hi, you're Shay. Oh, perfect. Nice and big. Right where we can see it. You know what? I don't know where I want to sit. Yeah, totally up to you. Lindsay, can you hear us okay?
I sure can.
Hey. Okay. Turn this up even more. It's kind of quiet. It's a little loud this morning and Justin used it. Try that. Oh, okay. Try saying something now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay. That's good. Cool. Shay's with us. That's exciting. I think Andrea. We'll have a few more joining. I'm gonna go get my other laptop so I can look at the chat while we go.
Perfect.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good.
Have you had a good week?
Very tired though.
Oh no, what happened?
I got like 3 hours of sleep last night.
What?
Yeah, and then the night before that, I got some pretty good rest. But then the night before that, I didn't sleep at all. So
Oh, that's
I've been like,
terrible.
go all week.
What have you been doing?
Either doctor's appointments or church or grocery shopping or doing all kinds of stuff. So
Like the life stuff.
I'm taking this spot. Yeah. Yes. I'm not even on the.
Where does she want to hit that? You gotta sit down, Stormy.
Also, for snacks, we've got Skittles and those gummy things if anyone is interested.
I like.
Okay, no, just to share.
Yeah, we'll have to share among everyone. Sorry, I didn't bring enough for everybody. We got plenty of chairs. We have so many chairs. Yeah.
Come here, Stormy. Look, Stormy. Stormy. Hey,
Need one more? You bet.
come here. Gotta sit down.
I'm trying to get her to get used to me.
Jeez.
There you go.
Whoa, I can see myself.
Yeah, we're all up there. You can see.
You bet.
It's pretty exciting.
Does she have a
Here.
hug? Okay. I think she's scared. I'm gonna go catch these stragglers up front.
Ooh, it says that what we're doing now is.
Because we're on Zoom. She can hear us.
Yeah, there's a camera up on the TV. That's how we can see it. Crazy.
Wait, is that computer?
It's pretty creepy. You guys all doing okay?
I don't know.
There it is. I feel it. Okay, they're not melting.
Wow, that is so weird.
Nice.
I bought these like 5 days ago and it's still not eating them. So.
Be good, Stacy. You can have some more. I gotta stay seated. Fine, go play. No, she'll stand right here.
Okay, cool. We are live. No, you're fine. Cool. There's free. Okay, so this is Lindsay. This is saying it's the same video, like it's been the same one this whole time. I'm not sure why that is, so we're just gonna roll with it. So,
Yeah,
we've
okay.
got Bree in the chat. Everyone say hi, Bree.
Hi, Bree.
Yes. Hi, Bree. Okay. It is 5:03, so we will, just like old times, start with checking in. If you guys want to do that. So checking in is like kind of giving a little update about what your life is like right now, what's going good. If you want to talk about what's not going so good, that's fine as well. But you just kind of have a space to talk about what's going on in your life right now. So does anybody want to kick us off?
I like saying life is life.
Life is life. That's absolutely relatable on many, many levels, for sure.
Bad news, my truck got stolen, but the good news is I did get it back.
Good. How'd you get it back?
The dude brought it back.
Why?
I don't
After you
know.
stole it?
Yeah, I don't know. We went upstairs to get laundry, come back down. He stole the truck, then returned it. I'd say about 2-3 hours later with a flat tire and no gas. And all our stuff was missing. But
It's
one
kind
of
of
the
amazing
neighbors,
that he brought it back. I guess that's better than nothing.
yeah, but
Maybe they just needed it for one drive and that was it.
they ran a half a tank of gas out of it, threw Stormy's car seat out that y'all gave us,
Great.
and her diaper bag that I've had for almost 2 years,
Yeah,
and which also had her wallet in it,
that sucks.
and her cell phone. That's why she doesn't have a cell phone right now.
Mm,
Ouch.
that is terrible. That explains so much because has Dominique talked to you?
No.
Okay, I need to talk about that. Okay, it's hi Arrow, what's up?
Oh, yes.
Someone found your phone in a parking lot and called us and was like, I don't know whose phone this is, so that would make sense.
Someone found my phone?
Yeah. So I actually totally forgot I need to meet that person and get it from them, but I have their number on
Actually,
Saturday.
I'll call them. We'll get it today.
Okay, but you'll do that. Anyways, this is not part of class tonight, so we need to do that later.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we got Lindsay. That is mine. Thank you so much, Seth. We are continuing on with what we've been talking about. Lindsay, can you hear us okay?
I can.
Okay, cool. So you guys can see Lindsay's up there. We've been talking about emotional health, which is very important for so many of us. And so we will go ahead and get started. Lindsay, I'll let you take it away.
Thanks, Casey.
Welcome.
Okay, so for those of you that were here last week, I poured my heart out. I shared my life story. And the reason why I did that is because I wanted to, first of all, connect with you and just to share, there's everyone has a journey, and we all tend to carry just shame. I'm going to call it shame and self-doubt. And I think one of the greatest strengths to overcome our shame or our guilt or any negative feelings, negative talk, is through self-awareness. So we're going to be spending more than one evening together talking about self-awareness. So last week was sort of part one, tonight's part two. Next week, we'll continue that. So I just wanted to, first thank you all for listening to me last week, and then also say that, now you know my story, so you know where my heart is, where I'm coming from, and then also how I've been able to conquer and overcome all these different, trials and tribulations in my life is actually through other people, my network. So anyone that's helped me, offered help to me. I didn't want to take it at first. I was like, no, I've got this. No, I'm good. I'm independent. I've got this. I encourage you to accept help wherever it is given. It feels good to give it, and it feels good to receive it. And then you can also pass it on to someone else. And my other thing that's gotten me through is self-awareness, which is why I wanted to really highlight that tonight, because it is a superpower. Self-awareness is a superpower because once you really understand yourself, then you can start to pick up on, oh, why do I think like that? Why do I feel like that? Why do I continue these patterns in my life? Why do I make these choices? Why do my relationships look like this? Why do I feel the things I feel when people hurt me? And all of that goes back to self-awareness. And for me, that was rooted in trauma. I am not a therapist. I am a human being. I am a human being just like you. So, take it or leave it for whatever advice that I have to give. Tonight, I just want to pass on just a couple of pieces of advice and tips as you start to go through this self-discovery process, if you haven't started that already. And then at the very end, I'm going to give you a homework assignment. So I know everyone loves homework and we all have nothing to do. So, but the homework assignment is really, truly to help you on this self-awareness journey, because truly, once you understand yourself, then everything else starts to make sense. Okay, so self-awareness is a superpower because it helps us to manage our emotions and our life choices. And I don't know about you, but there are times when I really, really, really would like to go back and not make some of the life choices that I've made. So now I'm learning those lessons moving forward. And then also sometimes when I feel like I have no control over my emotions, and I can even, it's like almost like an out of body experience where I can see myself reacting in this way where I feel like really angry or really sad, or sometimes even unhappy and I don't know why. And so I start to unpack that. And so when you can figure out, okay, why am I feeling these things, or why am I thinking these things? Then you can start to manage everything else. Okay, so for example, who in this room, I'm looking at y'all, who in this room has ever snapped at someone and you're like, ooh, we shouldn't have done that? Like, by show of hands, who has snapped at someone and they're like, I really don't know why I just like went off on that person. Yes. Yes, I have two hands. Yes, there's so many reasons why that happens where you're like, oh, I'm sorry. I did not mean to just like unload on you. And it can happen to anyone. Like it happens to like someone in the grocery store who's in like a line and they like step in front of us. It can happen like when, you know, we're getting coffee and they like taking too long, or it can happen like someone bumps you in the street and you're like, oh, why'd you just bump me in the street? Like it can happen first, or our loved ones, especially, right? Like our loved ones are who we are most comfortable with. And so they're usually the victims of our wrath. That's certainly true for my family. Okay, so when you think about it, like, why did I just snap at that person? Okay, so they probably, in a lot of cases, triggered something you've experienced through trauma. For example, when my kids lie to me, I feel rage at times. And it can be just like over the stupidest stuff. Like, yeah, I wash my dishes. And I'm like, clearly you did not because it is covered in food. I'm like, yeah, I wash my dishes. And there's something inside of me that like wants to just like scream when someone lies to me, because I feel like it is such a betrayal, like a personal betrayal. And by the way, it has nothing to do with me. They just didn't want to like wash their dishes and my kids are trying to like get out of doing that. It has nothing to do with them hurting me. But because I've experienced trauma in my childhood and in my young adult life, any betrayal like that is taken very personally. So there's times when I react, but there's times when I can control it. And just being aware that that's a trigger for me, that line is a trigger for me, I can also tell my family, hey, there's a lot of things that you can do to me. Lying especially is extremely hurtful, because the people that I had counted on in my young life left me, betrayed me, lied to me. And that sort of, I'm not thinking about you, the dishes right now. I'm thinking about all the other times you lied to me. And I'm thinking about all the other times I've been lied to. And that's what you're experiencing in this moment. I'm bringing all of those things together in this moment. And that's what I'm feeling. And so you can start to like label it, share it, and control it. Or they've exposed one of your insecurities. So someone might say something to you and they don't even know they're doing it. Like, hey, like they might make a comment about the way you're behaving or the way that you look. Hey, you look kind of tired. And if you're having like a bad hair day, or you have a zit on your face, or like you feel like you're not, you know, dressed all that cute, you might be like, oh, I'm ugly. Oh, I'm disgusting. And they're not saying that at all. But because the way that they said something, that triggers something inside of you that basically exposes one of your insecurities. Also, ladies, I'm talking to you. Sometimes we're just hormonal. And so we can be like, okay, why am I like feeling so on edge right now? Sometimes it's because we've got some hormonal irregulation happening. And we're like, okay, well, this is what this is. And I know in a few days it's going to be gone. And I'm just going to be like extra careful with my words and my actions for the next, few days. Or hangry. Who here has felt hangry before? I have. Has anyone been like, oh my gosh, I'm so hungry, I'm going to murder someone? Yes. So that's a very real feeling where you're just so irritated. And maybe you're running late, you're trying to get somewhere, you're having to like wait in line, you're hungry, you can't get food, you got to go do something else, and you're crashing. So just being able to label that, you can control those feelings. Or your blood sugar is low, or you're sleep deprived, right? Like you're exhausted. You haven't had any sleep last night. I'm going to be on a short fuse today. So I'm probably not going to pick today to have a serious conversation. Or I'm going to limit how much I'm exposing myself, to other people on like a real life level. Just because I'm exhausted. And I know if someone says something the wrong way, I might, flip a switch. Or you could assume that they were saying something about you and it has nothing to do with you. Like they could be like, the other person can be in a bad mood and they walk in the door and they're like, hey, and they sit down and they're just like, whatever. And they're not talking to you. And they're not paying attention to you. And like, hi, I'm happy to see you. And they're like, look, you probably are thinking, oh, like, what's wrong? Did I do something? What did I say? What did I do? Are you mad at me? Has anyone ever thought that like someone else is mad at them, but they're like not even, it has nothing to do with them? Yeah, so that happens to me like a lot where where someone is like their behavior and like, oh, did something. And I start thinking like, oh, what did I do? What did I say? And it probably has nothing to do with you. And that's just a misunderstanding. Or you're taking the hurt out on the wrong person. And the people in our life that are closest to us are especially vulnerable to that because we've been able to test them. Be like, do you still love me? And you might poke at them, or you might say something to them, or you might snap at them or overreact to something. And then they still come back to you. And then you still have a relationship and you're able to move past it. And that's sort of our way of saying like, hey, you still love me? Like, even if I like snap at you and I overreact, like, are you still going to come back to me? I know that I've done that where I've taken things out on the wrong people because I don't want to take it out on the right person who's actually hurt me because, I don't want to offend anyone. I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to put on like the face. I'm trying to, be polite, have good manners. It might be a professional relationship. And so, no, I don't take it out on them. I go home and my kids don't wash the dishes. And I'm like, why didn't you wash the dishes? So that's just self-awareness of like, okay, wait a minute. This is not about the dishes. This is about like these other things. And kids, hey, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have overreacted that way. Or who has ever felt like they just need a good cry? I have. There are times when I really want to seek that emotional release. And I'm like, I don't know why, but I just really want to cry right now. And sometimes, I'm really embarrassed to say this, but sometimes when I haven't cried in a while, like months, I'll start laughing about something and my laughter will turn into crying. And then I'll feel so embarrassed because I now have like started crying and I don't know why because I was just laughing. And a lot of that can come from trauma. It can just be you're overwhelmed with whatever's happening in your life right now and you haven't been able to like release that in a healthy way. So you've been storing all those negative feelings. And so when you're like laughing or when you're like feeling emotion, you're just like, man, I just really need a release. Or there might be a mental illness that you haven't been able to manage or treat yet, or you don't even know that you're carrying. A lot of people are carrying symptoms of anxiety or depression, and they haven't been able to identify that or treat that yet. Or they're just really burned out, like by work or by life or whatever's going on, and they're just like exhausted. Like sometimes when I'm really tired, I just want to cry. Also hormones, ladies, another factor. And sleep. So these are the symptoms of depressive disorder. These come from the CDC. So I didn't make these up. And I wanted to point these out because if you recognize these symptoms in yourself, then I would encourage you to seek professional help. And if you don't have access to professional help, then in the interim, at least find someone that you can trust and that will advocate for you. So these are things like if you are feeling sad or anxious, like a lot, just throughout the day, you're just kind of feeling low. Or you don't want to go out anymore, you don't want to see friends anymore, you're kind of edgy, you're irritable. Or even if you're restless, like you can't seem to just like relax, enjoy yourself. You might have this emotional turmoil. If you're having trouble about falling asleep at night or staying asleep, you're waking up too early, you're sleeping too much, that's also a symptom. If your eating habits change, also a symptom. Okay, so pay attention. Like, am I eating more? Am I eating less? Am I not hungry for like days? Like, what's going on? if you are having physical pain. So sometimes when we are not dealing with things mentally, our body will start to figure out other ways to be like, hey, I need help. So we'll start to manifest like headaches or pains or stomach problems. That's a big one. If you're having like recurring stomach problems, that might be a sign of a depressive disorder. And then also, if you just pay attention to like your self-talk, if you are feeling guilty, worthless, helpless, you're thinking about suicide or helping or hurting yourself, if you think things like, well, maybe the world would be better if I wasn't here, or maybe my friends or my partner will be better if I wasn't around, that's a red flag to you that you need to talk to someone. Okay, you need to talk. As hard as it is, you at least need to say like, hey, I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna work through it. I just need you to know, like, I'm feeling these things. Can you just like check in on me? Like, you know, however often you want them to check on you or just talk to you. And then anxiety disorders are very common, especially throughout the pandemic. They became even more common. Like, you know, nearly half the population in the United States has some sort of anxiety disorder. And you can recognize these if you're worrying about things like too much, like if they don't seem proportional to like what they should be, like, oh, I don't know why I'm worried about this so much. Then that's probably a sign that you have some spectrum of an anxiety disorder. Or if you think about things like in the worst possible outcome, if you like sit there and you overanalyze and you think about like, oh my gosh, like what's going to happen if this, you know, this is going to happen, and you talk through like all the worst case scenarios, or you feel like it's life threatening or it's going to impact you like in a really bad way, then it's probably anxiety talking. And then physical too, like trouble sleeping, a lot of the things that we just saw. Stomach problems, again, is a big one. If you're having stomach problems and you don't know why, you probably have some sort of mental health symptoms that you just want to either talk to someone or get professional help for. Okay, and there's also times on the flip side, like I don't want to be like all negative. Have you ever like woken up or like it's been in the middle of the day and you're like, I feel really good right now. Like I feel like really happy. But you're not like really sure why. Has that happened to any of you? Show of hands, anybody? Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, that's happened to me too, where I'm like, man, I'm having like a good day and I'm not really sure why. Okay, it could be from like, you just got some like really good news and now you're carrying that over. Also, like, I don't know about you guys, but like when I exercise, and by exercise, I mean like walk outside. When I walk outside, I go through like walks in the morning, I drink coffee and I listen to music. Within like 5 minutes, if that long, I feel so happy. Like I could be in like the worst mood, you know, I'm running late, I don't feel good, like whatever. And then like I'm irritated and I go outside and I walk for like 5 minutes and I'm like, oh my gosh, best day ever. I feel amazing. And that's because when we exercise, and again, I'm just like walking, we release dopamine and serotonin. And exercise is not the only time that this happens, but like the more that you can figure out ways to release these chemicals from your brain, the general happier that you will feel. And for me, it's like a 20-minute walk in the morning. Also, adrenaline rush.
Sorry, Lindsay.
Yeah.
I unmuted us, so you guys know that you can jump in whenever you want, because that's a mic. So, you know, whenever you have thoughts or questions, just feel free to hop in there, okay? Cool. All right. Go ahead, Lindsay. We're listening.
Yes. Okay. All right. Good. Also, like, okay, so if you've ever had to like meet a deadline, or if you've ever had like you almost got in a car crash, or you have to hurry up and get somewhere like really fast and you're worried about getting there, you're probably having an adrenaline rush. And then usually just like a few hours after that, the adrenaline turns into like the state of like euphoria, and you're just like happy because like your body's just like trying to like process all that adrenaline. And it can be literally be like you have to turn in some paperwork by like 5 o'clock on Friday, and you're like, oh no, I don't know how I'm gonna get this done. And now you're fighting traffic and you're trying to turn it in or like whatever. And you get it done, you're like, woo. And then so like maybe like 8 o'clock at night, you're like, man, I feel great. And it's probably because you had some sort of aftermath of the adrenaline rush. Or there's
If you want to take a nap, after you need a deadline. Like, what if you-
Are you depressed? If you want to take it, you might have to yell a little bit.
Okay, so I said like when I'm like really pressed on like time and stuff, I get like an energy rush, but it does like the opposite. It just like drains me. Like when I get excited, it like drains the life out of me, and I just have to take a nap.
yeah. So that's another thing too. Like once the adrenaline has processed through your body, and it takes different time too. Like sometimes it hits you hours later, sometimes it's like immediate. But then like once it's like kind of like done, then yeah, you probably want to go into like hibernation mode because your body's super high and now your body is trying to like, you know, balance yourself out. So the fact that you have like you want to take a nap is totally normal.
Hey, Lindsay.
What's up?
So how about you and then is that okay? All right, cool. So like for me, like with the depression and happiness, I actually am bipolar. So there's days where I'm super depressed and then all of a sudden I'm manic, and then I can tell I'm usually manic because all of a sudden I'm really happy and have a higher adrenaline rush.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you brought that up because that is very common with people who have bipolar disorder is that they feel just like super pumped up and then they have like their really low days. And so just the fact that you're able to identify that, again, that's a superpower because now you can start to manage that. And even if you can't manage it, you're not to that place yet, you can be like, okay, well, today I'm having a low day, or today I'm just having a high day. And so that's why I'm feeling these things. And now you feel like you have a sense of self-control, whether before it was probably like, why do I feel like I'm going on this roller coaster all the time? Like, I don't even know what's going on with me.
Yeah, and see, like a good thing about me is I used to be ashamed that I had to go to therapy and be on medicine, because then I would feel like it's sort of like how you said a superpower. Like I can take this medicine and it makes me feel better, so I feel like I have some kind of superpower that I'm overcoming, and I'm not letting the bipolar defeat me. I'm embracing it and doing better.
Totally. Yeah. So I shared with you guys last week that you know, I have symptoms of borderline personality disorder. And so there are times when it's very similar to bipolar disorder, where like if someone, for example, if someone that I care about and I have an attachment to, like a great attachment to, and there are times when they would be like, okay, I'm running late. And then it'd be like, okay, cool, like 5 minutes late, fine, I can manage that. And then it turned to 15 minutes late, and then 30 minutes late, and an hour late. And I would start to think of like, do they not love me? Do they not care about me? Like, why are they not like here when I want them here? And I would start going to like these worst case scenarios. And now just the fact that I know that like I get super anxious when I don't hear from someone or I'm having to wait too long, that's a superpower, because I'm like, oh, you know what? That's what this is. Like, I'm feeling that way because I'm like blowing this way out of proportion. And of course they're busy. Like, this person obviously loves me. They've proven that through whatever. And
So is it like unrealistic to expect people to be on time? Like, I mean, not saying it like that, like of course it's realistic, but like what I mean is like, I don't know, I kind of feel like if people showed up an hour late, like your feelings are a little bit justified. But like, you know, I feel like, I don't know, some of it can be projecting, but then it's like, sometimes I would prefer people like project onto me than to like not say anything at all. Just because like I see that in people, like not really one of the problems that I have, but like I see people who like won't say nothing or, you know, something like that because they feel like it's them, and it's, you know, it's not always you. Like some stuff is just to be expected.
yeah, no, that's good. Okay, so what you can do is start to identify patterns. So for example, if someone is always consistently late, obviously they are not going to change that behavior. Like, that's part of like, that's ingrained in them. That's just something that happens. They're bad at time management. And so I used to think of like, why am I not as important as like what I would work or whatever they were doing? Like, why am I not? I should be more important than that. Like, why are you not here? And then what I've learned is that it's not that I'm not as important. It's that I feel these things, and it's not because this person doesn't love me or I'm not as important. This is their pattern of behavior, and I can't control their pattern of behavior. I can't control my reaction. So I think, yeah. And so it's also like, and also what you're saying of like, there are some people who want like an immediate response. Like if I'm like, hey, like that really hurt, you were late, like why weren't you here? There's some people that want to like talk about it right now. And there's some people who like want to take it and then process it. And then like maybe later in their own time, either they're going to say something to you or not at all.
My mom taught me how to be like that. Cause like when I would get in trouble, I would be like, let's talk about it so I can fix it and like get back to normal. But then she would be like, no, I don't want to like punish you the wrong way. I want to think about like how I want to do it and stuff. I'm like, don't don't plan a like. It sounds very severe, but I understood what she meant. Cause one time, I don't know if I was pushing her too far, but like she told me to let it go and I didn't. So I ended up doing the rest of the day in my room because she was like, I really just want you to let it go. But yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yes,
we have another person who wants to remain anonymous though, so I'll bring over the speaker, but we won't
Okay.
see. So, did you want to ask?
Is part of depression going through phases where you naturally eat a lot of food, but then you go weeks without eating, and then you go, it's almost like I go through like a slight anorexia episode, but during my slight anorexia episode, I just get really active. Like I don't eat, but I have all the energy, but when I do eat, I don't have the energy. So it's
Yeah, that's and you know
Did you
what,
hear that, Lindsay?
I did. And I don't want to misinform you. What I will say, to me, what that sounds like is, so there's some, and I will say this, there are some people that whenever they're coping with big feelings, they use eating as a coping mechanism. And then some people, when they do that, they feel incredible sense of shame and guilt. And so they will try to go complete opposite and say, okay, like I just ate like all that food, I was really binging. And now I'm going to prove to myself that I can control my emotions, I can control my behavior, or, I'm not worthy. And so if you are feeling anything that feels like I am not worthy, I am ashamed, I feel really guilty, and that you're almost having to like correct yourself, that could very well be a sign of depressive disorder. And really the only way to get through that is to get down to trauma issues, those triggers of like, okay, like why do I feel the need to do that? Like, where is that coming from? And what did I just feel, or what happened just before I decided to either binge or go into that state of starvation? And like, why did that change happen? Like, what was I feeling? And if you can pinpoint down like what happened to trigger that, that's major. That's life changing. Is okay, like these types of feelings make me do this. And when I feel this, I want to do that.
I actually can pinpoint those triggers though.
Did you catch that, Lindsay?
I didn't.
Okay. Said you can pinpoint the triggers. Yeah, so the triggers can be pinpointed.
hold on, let me.
Yeah.
My social anxiety's got a little better. Yes, I have severe social anxiety.
We're all chill.
I really go through them a lot, especially when it gets. See, I have a lot of sexual harassment done to me on the streets, but the majority is verbal. But a lot of times when there's like a huge episode or outbreak of those, I will get severely insecure. So it's almost like I fight to lose weight, but at the same time, I appreciate myself for who I am. And then another part of the shame is growing up, I had a mom who would fat shame me about everything. So you have this much food on your plate, why are you trying to be bigger and all? Comments got to a point where I could sit in a chair in my house if you said I was too big, referring to my weight. So when I eat, I do have a major sense of shame, but I also have a fear of eating in front of people. So I guess not eating does make me feel good, but at the same time, it makes me scared because I don't like, because I like my plus size. I like who I am, but I don't like the attention I get. I don't like how men see me. And I also don't like the shame and the surrounding screams in my head that happen when I eat. So those are the truest, probably the only pinpoint of why I go through these stages of eating a lot, then not eating for about a week, and eating a whole day and then going a whole another week without not eating.
Yeah, I am so sorry. And I can hear that you're on a journey to self-love. And I think that's huge. Just so many of us, and I'm putting myself in the same category. So many of us seek love from other people, and we tend to ask, and we don't even know that we're doing this, but we're essentially asking you, like, other people, like, do you still love me? Do you still like me? Am I still like worthy of your attention or your praise? And so, I do that. I'm grown, I have kids. And I still do that. And I fight through my insecurities. Like, even though I feel insecure, like, even if I have like whatever that I feel like is wrong with me, do you still love me anyway? Am I still desirable to you? And being able to conquer all of that is through self-love. And that is so hard.
I love myself, but I also have a fear of not matching the world standards, but at the same time, I will not match the world standards because I choose not to. I can't find a healthy balance in my head.
So in a way, you're creating your own standard.
I am.
Yeah, and that's so brave. That's so brave. And a lot of people choose to conform instead of create their own standard. And so I think that's huge, and you're going to inspire a lot of other people by doing that.
But what scares me about this whole eating habit, which started only about, I think it's like in last year, December. And what scares me about it right now is that I'm pregnant. So right now, it's not just me that's not eating when I go through these episodes. So that's what scares me the most, because my first kid, I don't want to lose it. And so it scares me to a bad point, because with these episodes, I can get to a point where I can go a month and eat during that whole month just enough can be considered a snack for one day.
Yeah,
and
so when you're, oh, go ahead.
And it's bad because I will get very severely like that. But the minute I see I'm dropping weight, I'll just gain it right back. And then once I see I gain the weight back, it's almost like I'm in battle with myself. But I don't want to be in that battle, at least when I'm not pregnant, because I can't stand to have like a child that's not healthy.
Okay, so what I'm hearing from you is that, so whenever you're doing that, whenever you are depriving yourself of food, that's a control mechanism. That's something you are doing to have control over your feelings and your life. And whenever you're feeling like you need to gain control over your life or your feelings or your behavior, you need an accountability partner. That's, you need someone that you can go to and say, hey, I'm feeling this way. I don't feel like I'm having control, or I want to exercise more control. Sometimes you might feel like you have control, but you're trying to exercise more control. And you can just say, like, this is what I'm thinking about doing. I just need you to check in with me like twice a day and talk to me about it. And without like any sort of like shame, or like, if you didn't eat that day, that person can't be the person that's like, oh, why did you not eat today? That's so bad for you. That's so bad for your baby. It needs to be someone that said, okay, like, let's talk about that.
Yeah, that's awesome, Lindsay. Thank you so much. And thanks for being vulnerable and sharing.
Yeah,
That's
I
amazing.
don't like talking about my eating habits because
Yeah, it's
Usually
a
when
very
I-
personal thing.
usually
so-
when I say that, someone's like, "So you have anorexia?" No. So you have binge eating?
Yeah, so we,
No. You
yeah,
don't
so we want to,
understand.
for sure. So we want to open it up to the group a little bit. Did you have something you wanted to add, James?
Okay. I have a severe brain injury. I have an IB from when I was a child. So I can understand the extreme release of dopamine on occasions. Because I could literally start my day with literally just get up, not even have a cup of coffee and feel like I had 30 cups of coffee. Because my entire front of my cerebral cortex up here, I have maybe 25% use of my cerebral cortex because of the car wreck. Most of it was severely damaged. Most of that's holding up my entire face here is wire mesh from when I was a child. The doctor said my brain they said my skull would regrow around it eventually. And they do believe it's almost regrown, but I will not have most use of my cerebral cortex. Not the front of my head, front part of my brain. It was all severely damaged. So I can understand the extreme dopamine or the extreme lack of dopamine.
See, can I say something?
Yeah, let's be cautious of our time. We're probably gonna want to wrap up in like 10 minutes. So Lindsay, do you know how much more material you've got? We'll allow you the time to finish up.
Yeah, no, I'm good. Like this, and by the way, like this is your time. Like we can always carry over until next week. Like if you guys want to say something, this is your time. Like we're here for you.
Okay, perfect. Well, yeah, if we want to open up discussion, that's totally fine. If that
I
works for you, Lindsay.
understand, the eating thing, because I've actually, since I was 9 years old, I've been, at 9 years old, I was diagnosed with anorexic bulimic. Like, I would like starve myself to death, but whatever I did eat, of course, that's where the bulimia would come in. And ever since then, like, I've like trained my body to not like need as much food to function. I don't really know if that makes sense. Like, I go on such little food and then I know my limit. And like, I noticed like my problem now, like, but like the thing is with me is I'm so used to not eating. I'll literally eat like one meal and eat like 3 bites of it and then I'm full and go on with the rest of my day. And I think it's more as when I was a kid, it's like, it seems like either way, I can satisfy anybody. Like my mom, she emotionally and verbally abused me. And she'll say like, she put her insecurities out on me and she'll be like, well, you look like a fat cow. But then if I lose too much weight, she's like, oh, you're too skinny. And it's like, either way, I feel like I'm not satisfying other people. And then that makes me feel like I can't satisfy other people. And I know it's not healthy to want to satisfy other people, and then you don't feel good because you're not satisfying people. But then now I just kind of like worry so much, like it's draining. And how you said the not sleeping, like, it can be an issue for the depression. Well, like I typically won't sleep, like I was explaining to you before everybody got in here. I'll go a whole night without sleep and then sleep a few hours a day and then stay up and then only get 3 hours of sleep and then go. And it's kind of like, I've learned like lately I've been getting physically sick because like the not eating, the not sleeping, constantly going, especially with the heat, it just brings my body down physically. And then it's not helping myself emotionally, because even though I'm on medicine, like if I don't physically eat or do things or sleep, it's like the medicine isn't really even there working. Sorry, that was a lot.
I'm saying, yeah, no, most medicines work off of food, or they either require like a stomach,
But it's like my brain won't let me
that like control emotions and things like that. I stopped taking my antidepressant. I got diagnosed with postpartum when I had ED. But I just got off of my antidepressants, and I think with most antidepressants, you're supposed to like eat on them so they can work.
Yeah, but then like I realized like I want to eat, but at the same time, I don't want to eat, but then like I want to eat, but my body physically won't let me. Because I've trained myself not to eat. So then it just brings in the vicious cycle. Well, if my body won't let me eat, then what's the point in even trying?
Okay, sorry. This would bring up a good thing that we had to do with my younger sister, because she has that still. What we would do is we would, I know it sounds weird, baby rice. Baby rice. Put that in your, like in milk. And do that with every time you sit down and eat. It'll help you put more food in your stomach. And it'll fill you up, but it'll help you also get where you can start eating bigger meals.
Yeah.
We had to do that with my sister. I had to do that with Stormy. Because when she was first born, even though she was overweight when she was born, she had a dramatic drop in her weight.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't get her to eat.
Yeah, like literally, maybe 2.5 months ago, I was kind of at a big weight because I had overdosed and then they tube fed me, and I guess the tube feeding made me gain weight. And then I got out and then I just wasn't eating, and I drastically lost like 35 to 38 pounds. I was like 145 to 148, and now I'm 109 within 2 months from not eating. And it's hard on me because like, if I see myself, like I can't buy a scale, because if I buy a scale and I see 1 pound higher, then I freak out. It's like, it's not even like seeing the body, it's seeing the scale.
So let's kind of bring it back to, we were talking about reasons for like why we feel really happy. So we talked about, getting that dopamine rush, you can get it from exercising, from other activities. What are like some other ways that you guys, when you feel really happy, what are some things that like bring that out?
I love ADHD episodes. Like,
Love songs?
they make me so happy. Like when I'm like heartbroken, that's how I like start my little healing process or whatever. Put on like music that's like has to do with love, because it kind of just reminds me that like somebody's out there who's like on what I'm on and stuff. So I just try to look at like the positive. Look at the positive things. Like music is like a go-to for me. So yeah, I love music works.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah,
Me,
for sure.
what brings me a lot of happiness is when I have my ADHD. I can be very antisocial before the minute ADHD episode hits me. Now I am the happiest. Can't sit still. Probably gonna get pretty destructive. Happy.
With me, what brings me actually extra happiness is fishing. Going out on the lake or the river,
Doing something you like?
fishing, my most happiest moment is when I took Stormy on her fishing trip with her brand new Barbie pole that she got. And in one day, that little girl by herself, three 1-pound perch and 1.5 pound bass. That made me most ecstatic. And that little girl that can't even, as you can tell, I've not sat down 1 minute since we got here. Fished.
Because how did she get a fish anywhere near her? She's hiding.
Because she loves them. She'll touch them. She'll try to kiss them. Yeah. Everything.
I think helping others help me. That's like my passion. That's why I'm in school for social work, because literally just seeing somebody else feel better, because I'm like not laying all my issues and like, but like not talking to them about like everything I've gone through, but listening to film and allowing myself to be able to validate film and let them know that they're not alone. And then just like literally seeing somebody who hasn't smiled in weeks smile and say thank you, that just makes my heart happy.
Aw.
That is awesome.
But one of the things that's not like fishing or with my daughter, I used to work with animals at the animal shelter back in Fort Smith, Hope Humane Society. I worked in what was called the Devil's Cage. We called it that because every one of them animals were condemned for euthanization. These were all vicious, known to be vicious predators. And you could see into these dogs' eyes. You could see their hearts that are broken. And when I would take one of those dogs and rehabilitate it, I told my job, give me 1 month per dog, and I get these dogs home. I can get these dogs fixed and home. The first dog I ever homed was a German Shepherd. I never seen someone a grown man shed such many tears over a dog. That's the problem.
Aw.
Because I brought him happiness.
Yeah.
Animals and helping animals help people, which in turn I help.
Yeah, I have a service dog that brings me happiness. His name's Kaiser.
Man, Miss
Aw.
Kaiser. You gotta get Kaiser up here.
I need to get my service
He's
dog.
scrappy.
I had a service dog. I need to get me a new one. I had a pit bull.
Cute.
I had a pit bull that stood like this.
All right, guys. So dogs are amazing.
I had a cat. She loved
Cats are also amazing. Rabbits are amazing.
They make good
I think.
People that I had was aquatic snails.
Oh my gosh, aquatic snails, and like you had them in a fish tank.
They are because they're like just. They're just like, oh, you just gotta
Oh,
just
I
put
want
in
to
their
get a
cage.
catfish.
Even I didn't watch
Where
it.
can
All
I
around.
get a catfish from?
All right, Lindsay. I think we're done.
Yeah, okay. Well, what I wanted to share like with you guys is a lot of your responses actually make me feel happy as well. And I wanted to share something with you that a therapist shared with me a couple of years ago. And she said, and I wrote this down, and I think about it a lot, is she shared the phrase, "This is nice." And what she taught me is that those little moments throughout the day. So whenever you're driving and all the lights turn green, like that's when you need them to turn green. This is nice. Or whenever you wake up in the morning and you have like that first sip of coffee and it's just like, yes, this is nice. Or whenever your pet shows some affection to you and gives you love and you're sitting down after a long day and you get that like unconditional love. This is nice. You're taking a nice hot shower in the morning or at night, or maybe a bath, and you just taking that moment and just to like sit in the joy, just like really like dig into it, label it, and just say like, this is nice. And then you start to see like just like this really precious moments throughout your day and throughout your life that help you sort of deal with like all the negative things that are bound to happen, like when the lights or like whatever.
That's awesome, Lindsay. That's awesome. All right. Any final closing remarks, questions?
Okay, so what I wanted to give you guys is some homework. So what I want you guys to do is to take like an objective look at yourself, okay? And the way that I want you to do this is like between now and next week, and you don't have to share anything. Like, by the way, this is totally for you. You know, this is, if you're gonna do this, don't do it for me, do it for you. And of course, if you want to share next week, we'll make time to do that. Especially if you see a pattern. But like for the next week, do some self-reflection, because again, all of this is about self-awareness, okay? And like getting control over your feelings and thoughts in your life. So when you wake up in the morning, how do you feel? And I don't care what time it is. Like it could be like 2:00 in the afternoon, it's your morning. But like when you first wake up, how do you feel? Okay, and then just like take inventory of that. Be like, hey, how am I feeling? Like in this first like 15 minutes, how do I feel right now? And then as you notice your feelings change, anxiety, joy, sadness, you want control, you're feeling helpless, you're feeling strong, pay attention, pay attention. Write those feelings down, and what just happened? What were your thoughts? What was your like interaction with someone? Like what just happened right before that change occurred? And then like, how are you feeling? What happens when they intensify? What happens when they shrink? And then sort of like just take an inventory, like jot down. It doesn't have to be anything. I'm not asking you to like write an essay, but just start to like get these data points about yourself. So as your emotions change, as your thoughts change, what just happened? Why do I feel that way? And then you can just, that's for you. Like that's for you to be like, I've noticed that when people do this, or when I feel this happens. And at the end of the day, do the same thing. Just take like a beat and be like, how am I feeling right now? And did that change throughout the day? Did that change from like this morning when I first woke up? And that is like your very first groundwork for self-awareness. That's your homework assignment for this week, is to.
How do y'all feel about the homework?
I actually have a self-reflection
I genuinely
journal.
feel like I'm gonna get different answers on that on that Oh, I think it was ask your friends. I think that's another one. I think it was the ask your friends how you are or whatever. Like, I'm gonna get mixed answers.
You see that?
Yeah, like you're saying, like it might change day to day, you know? But Shay, you're used to doing self-reflection. That's something you've done before.
Yeah, I have a notebook and a journal, and then my therapist has me do a daily self-reflection, like catalog, like to each day. So like I can look over the week and see positives and negatives and find like what helped me to have the positives, what caused the negatives, and how to like overcome.
Yes.
That's
Already
awesome.
doing it. Yes.
Shay's a little bit ahead of the game here, but that's fine.
I usually am.
Cool.
I used to have a journal where I wrote myself letters.
Oh my gosh, okay, so someone has a journal, they used to write themselves letters. That is
That's
a
amazing.
therapeutic practice. I
Yes.
love it so much.
Sometimes I write how I felt towards myself. Other days I wrote how I felt towards others. Sometimes I just talk to myself like I talk to normal person.
Yeah, I love that. I'll do that too. Sometimes when I'm in the car alone, I'll just like talk out loud, like on my
Yeah.
other, like I got myself in the passenger seat. That
Yeah,
helps me.
I do that too.
That helps me
I
a
do
lot.
have a bad problem with dissociating, so I'll be here, but at the same time, I'm actually not here.
That's common. All right, guys, this has been too good. I hope you all come back next week and we can pick up where we left off. But we got a gathering to go to for the first time forever. And food. And food, yeah, especially.
Bye. Bye.
All right, so we will let you go. One second. We'll go ahead and let you go. Lindsay, thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, y'all. Bye.
Bye.